Hello and welcome to the first ever Spire Cast. In this podcast, you're going to get top level insights from the best players in the world to help you improve at the game. For this first episode, we're going to be talking about myths regarding Spire and strategy within the game that we've seen circulating since launch, and later go over some of the bigger changes that will be pushed to the main branch this coming week. First up, we have Knave Greed, the rotating world record holder inside of Spire 1, and a double-digit rotating streak holder in Spire 2.
Hello.
Next up, we have One Pun Man / Opum, who is the Watcher World Record holder inside of Spire 1 and also has the first ever 20 streak in Spire 2.
Hello. I hope everyone's skipping Void Form. That is garbage.
Next up, we have VM Service, a double-digit streak holder on Defect in Spire 1 and is responsible for a lot of the community mods that you've probably used here on Twitch or YouTube.
Hello. I think the evil Falcon Earth is the worst thing that ever happened to this game.
Okay. First up, something that I've seen a lot has been people saying that you have to play for specific builds or specific cards or win cons. Like I see a lot of people in chat saying, oh, is Doom build viable or something? And I think the first thing we should debunk is that that's just not a thing at all.
The way to debunk this myth is to just talk about where it comes from. Where it comes from is just other deck builders and like the most common deck builders people play, which is trading card games like Magic, and they're not used to the type of game that Spire is. People eventually learn that that's not how the game works, but when they're first getting into it, they have this idea of a curated deck instead of like a deck solving problems as the run goes on. Once people get an understanding of that, they just stop talking about builds. Very early perspective to have for people who have just never played a game like it. I probably even had that perspective when I first got into Slay the Spire.
Turning everything into numbers is a really good one. Like poison is not really just a scaling thing on its own. It just is damage over time and a certain amount of it. And so that's the same thing as just playing a big card that does 30 damage on its own or whatever.
Yeah, the synergies aren't really the core of Spire. It's more the numbers and how they solve specific problems, how they solve enemies, how they like relate to relics and potions and stuff.
That brings me to Bulwark, actually. Can we talk about that? That card's silly. But it just says like too big of a number on it, right? Like all the numbers are just massive. It's like I don't really think of it as a forge card. It's just scaling damage and front load block, which is two things that you often want in a run.
Yeah, I mean, Bulwark's a good example of how a card can be disconnected from the idea of a build. Like you can have a deck that's entirely star based, like very heavily into stars with things like Child of the Stars and Black Hole. You're trying to do some Radiate combo, and then still Bulwark, 1 or 2 copies is still a good card in your deck just because the raw numbers on the card actually solve problems for you or like help you solve bosses. That's just way more important than the card saying sword on it, so therefore it goes in your forge build, which I think is the perspective a lot of newer players have, and they make a lot of mistakes because they don't add Bulwark when they need it because their deck is a star deck, you know?
Actually, I think Noxious Fume is also a pretty good example. You don't really think
sure.
of it as a poison card if you play the game enough. In fact, if you have Noxious Fumes, usually what you want to do is to not add other poison cards since it does the specific thing, deal a lot of damage to longer fights. So now after you have Noxious Fumes, you want to add like more front load block to be able to sit there and have the poison take up. You want to add more front load damage to deal with the faster hallway fights.
Spire is interesting in the way that you're just trying to solve a lot of problems, and a lot of people want to like over-index into one thing instead of just saying, well, my long scaling damage is solved because I have the fumes now, and now I need to fix the other stuff, right? You can really just look at the different categories, your front-loaded damage to deal with the fights that hit you hard out of the gate, which there's honestly not that many in this game. But yeah, front-load block, scaling block, that sort of thing, and acceleration. I think those are like the 5 categories I really think about when I'm thinking about what my deck is good and bad at, and not necessarily just like, do I have this certain synergies? There's obviously like No Escape or Death's Door or whatever, like some cards that combo with certain synergy things, but I would never really say that once I have a No Escape in the deck, I can only pick Doom cards or whatever.
Is there actually a fight that requires front load damage other than Test Subject Phase 1? I'm trying to think of one, but I legitimately cannot.
The Scrolls.
There's not.
Which fight in the game?
No, the Scrolls don't require it.
You just take mental damage is the main thing.
Because even if you take damage against them, it's like only chip. Like they only chip you down. Like they don't actually.
Which fight actually requires front load?
It's the Test Subject Phase 1.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
And Phase 2,
yes,
like
yeah,
Phase 1 and Phase 2 require you to have a decent amount of damage pretty quickly because they're hard to block.
It's like Act 1 Advanced Hallway, right? Like the triple raiders and like the dude with like the entangle thing.
Yeah, you can still block those. The entangle thing is really easy to block. Generally speaking, I find myself way more concerned with front load block. Like front load damage can kind of be front load block, but like in Act 3, I need to be able to block like a decent amount on turn 1 to fight elites and get stronger, which most of the time you don't really need to do, but if you do need to do that, which you don't know that in early game, you do have to be able to, like, I value boot sequence more in this game than I did in Spire 1. Anchor is incredible in this game.
I can't remember ever a time where I'm like, oh my god, I need another damage card. It's always like, I'm getting chipped. I need a block card. Pick any block card. And now I save chip, and then I'm just
Yeah.
chilling.
The fights don't really threaten to kill you from full HP in this game. Like there's no slavers fight where you have to kill one of them or you'll just like die from full. You just don't want to get chipped down and like die over the course of mini hallway fights.
Something about like
Yeah.
floor 1, you see any block card and you can almost always justify adding something, even if it's like a bad card. If you know that like advanced hallways are coming or whatever and you need to save all the chip, then you can add like a patter or something. I mean, you don't want to, you try not to, but it can be a thing that can be important. Tier lists are really bad at doing that because like today I saw Nave on stream like skip friendship, and I think you put that in S+ tier or whatever on your tier list, right? Like something insanely high. And it was just not good in the current situation. And then people also get on me for like picking Snakebite like once in a blue moon, even though I put it super low. Like Spire is just kind of a game where you can just pick the bad cards. And that's what makes it cool. I think when you're not having to pick the bad cards, that's when the game sucks and it's really boring, right?
Most of the bad cards are pickable in different situations. There's some cards that never get picked, but most of the bad cards in the game do get picked at some point. Like Snakebite. Definitely sometimes you have to pick Snakebite or you will die.
I've had to
Examples.
pick too many snake bites lately. I sometimes just have 0 damage. And there's like a log. I'm like, wait, how do I do 200? I have
Oh, no.
unneutralized. That's not gonna
Yeah.
work.
Sometimes it just gets in the deck even though it feels awful. And I do think that's
Yeah.
another big myth that people are talking about all the time is like you should always click this when you see it. Like this card is busted, like take it. And it's not necessarily maybe always solving the immediate problem. Like there's a lot of cards that in endgame are super, super strong, and you can think of them as like one card solves even for like the boss gauntlet, but you just can't justify it. Like if I'm going to a bunch of advanced hallways and maybe I have like something on the screen that is really good scaling, like a Child of the Stars versus some like front-loaded block option or front-loaded damage option, I can't always justify taking it, right?
A lot of the tier lists don't communicate this. There are going to be a lot of situations in the game you're picking like this D tier card over like this S tier card. So if you're only evaluating cards just based on like some random tier list, some of the time you will find yourself losing the run because of that.
The first layer of Spire though, right? Like when you're first starting, it's easy to look at the evals that other people have, and then you have to learn when the bad stuff is good and when the good stuff's bad.
I think it's a bit different than that actually. Like I think I can use the information in tier lists better the better I am because I can evaluate those contexts easier. When you're worse at the game, like tier lists are less useful because you don't understand context as well. So like you see an S tier card and you just think you should pick it instead of understanding like the contextual reason why you wouldn't pick it. But like tier lists can actually be useful for me even at the point I am at this game because say Zeknar makes a tier list, right? And he says like this card specifically is very good, but I wasn't really evaluating that as very good. Then I'll look at that card in more context and like think about how it can apply to the run, you know. But if you don't have that framework for understanding, then you'll just end up picking cards when you shouldn't pick cards, you know.
It's very backwards from I think what a lot of people think. And this is coming from all of us have made tier lists, right? Literally all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think it's important, and it's really more just a vehicle to talk about why certain cards you feel are useful or why they're not and what situations you want them. Just to reiterate the importance of watching but listening to why the person's putting it there. Like I will not ever be mad at like one of you putting a card in S tier that I put in B or something if you can justify it. Like, and I know all of you can, you know, like that's the thing. I don't think disagreements matter, and a lot of times we'll get comments about it too, like people saying, oh, this person said this and put this here and you put this here, like you're wrong or they're wrong or whatever. And that's not really what it is. It's just like, if one of you makes a tier list, I'm going to, again, look at that card in different contexts, like Nave said, and think about it more. Like I started doing that with Cascade because Zeknar said Cascade was like, okay, sometimes.
Sometimes tier lists don't tell you like how objectively strong some things are. Like when I made my Regent tier list, my goal was just to make a flow chart. Like the idea was if you pick the cards in the S tier and like play with this strategy in mind of like playing this like very thin down, I play reflect every turn type of deck, then these are the premium cards that help you do that. And that will win a lot of runs. But sometimes you end up in a situation where you're not allowed to play on that flowchart, and a lot of those cards get worse, and a lot of the cards in the like lower tiers get a lot better. Like Pillars of Creation is a great example of that, where like if you're in a different flowchart, Pillars of Creation becomes one of the best cards to click on. In the flowchart I was trying to explain in that tier list, like the S tier cards are like Common and Reflect because they're like the best cards you could possibly add to the deck because they're the cards you want to play every single turn. That's the thing about tier lists is like they can only really express one way of thinking or one type of run that you can play. They can't really cover every type of run that you can play, or it's just going to be nonsense.
Tier lists do go alongside macro ideas. And for anyone that doesn't know what that is basically like, what do you do outside of the fights and how is your drafting? So certain playstyles want a lot of removes, and certain playstyles try to build a bigger deck to bloat out your starter cards. Like the fact that we have starter cards and you sort of have to address the fact that they're bad, you can do that in multiple different ways. You don't have to just remove them. Like, I'm going to exhaust them all, or I'm going to have a bunch of draw and energy gen or whatever, and or I'll remove them and like not pick a bunch of cards. Like, there's ways to address that problem. And people do give criticism of like, oh, you just had all your basics, so you should have lost, you know? And I don't think that is ever really true either. The macro idea just needs to agree with what you're doing.
I do see that a lot. You lost because you have every basic in your deck. Like, that's why you lost. Like, I've seen that in quite a few chats before. Common opinion.
I've seen the you should stick to 25 to 30 cards guideline too, posted everywhere. That seems to be a thing. Or someone looks at a 33 card deck and says this deck is too big. If your whole deck is full of adrenalines, I don't care if it's 900 cards, you know, like the deck can literally be 900 cards and that's still a small deck to me. If every card is just cycling or generating energy or free draw or whatever. Big Bang too. I mean, there's a bunch of different examples, but I think I do look down at like what happens to the deck after it exhausts all the cards. So like all the powers are played and all the one-time use cards are gone. What does it play like then? You might have that Regent deck looping idea like you were talking about, or you might have a deck that has 40 cards after that, but it's still super functional because every card just says block on it and I have 3 footworks or something. It can be a lot of different things.
A lot of people overvalue removes in this game because they think they should be spending that much gold on them, but in reality in this game, as it is right now, because how powerful cards and relics are, making a big deck and not removing cards is a very viable and often the correct thing to do. But people don't really understand that because they just look at the base cards and go, oh, these are so bad, we have to get them out of the deck, you know.
Yeah, there's a real opportunity cost to buying card removing the shop. You're maybe giving up like a relic, maybe immediately, because you can sometimes buy a relic instead of removing the shop. Or you're giving up like a relic or potions or cards later down the line, because you're spending this 100 gold, 150 gold right now in Act 1, and then you don't have enough resources to do anything in the Act 2 shop.
Relics are actually so insane in this game, though. It's like so many relics just like getting a little bit of block. It's like, oh, that's so little. And suddenly you have like 5 or 10 of them, and you can do whatever you want, and your relics are blocking for you. Like your deck has no block cards. You got to defend. Van Base, blam, full block. Random Mass Anchor, full blocked. Horn Fleet, blocked.
Another myth in this game for sure is that people think relics are weaker than Inspire 1. This is just not true at all. I see that all the time. People saying relics are weaker in this game than Inspire 1. Just like they're very consistent in this game. Like they always give you something. While Inspire 1, you just get 5 relics in a row that do nothing and you just die. That just does not happen in this game. Like that. Yeah, sure, Spire 1 you could get Instance Burner and like that was pretty good, but this game is very consistent. Like you always get a decent amount of power from your relics, which is
the
a lot better than what
ceiling feels less to me. Like there is not Dead Branch anymore. You know, like there's not that insane high roll like one relic wins the run on the spot sort of deal. But they all feel sort of above par. And obviously there's still good ones too, but it does feel like it's not as much dopamine as just seeing like I hit this crazy thing and then I immediately win. And so maybe that's where that's coming from. I think on day 1 I sort of felt like that, and then after I thought and like looked through all the relics, I was like, oh, they all just kind of good. Like even the commons, you know, the commons are insane in this game, and after the shop changes too, you can actually afford them. It's crazy.
Like, it was an opinion I first heard from you. Relics are worse in this game, and I was like,
it's because I got I think a couple runs in a row with like some relics that literally didn't do anything. I got Juzu like every single run, and I was like, I hate this game. Like there's no dopamine anymore. Which is the other thing. People think Juzu does anything, which is
oh yeah, what does Juzu do? It does literally nothing.
We need the relic stats that tell you when it procs.
Having the confidence. Like I see a bunch of question marks. I'm like, if I see an advanced hallway, I'm cooked. But now I have a juice. I'm like, we are chilling. There is no advanced hallway. I will not be cooked. I kind of like it. I don't think I'm like ever sad seeing any relic.
I do.
Events are better.
It's just because events are so good.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of this relic thing, right? I keep seeing everywhere people like Silver Crucible is the goat. Losing a relic isn't that bad of a downside. Like, what are you talking about? You want to lose random block? What's the point of Silver Crucible? You upgrade some card that you might not want in your deck in the first place. It's like, oh, but we get to choose. But what if I want to skip cards? I do skip a lot of cards. And then you get to farm more elites, which is not actually always true. But if it is true, like you get an extra elite, you just farm the chest elite instead. I don't get it.
I've gone way down on Silver Crucible. I don't think it's unpickable, but I do think as we got better at actually navigating Act 1, it just seems worse and worse. Like you just don't need it, and it feels like you're giving up a lot.
What I say about Silver Crucible, it's like a very simple idea. It's like the worse your character is, like the character you're playing is at Act 1 hallway fights, and also the worse you are at Act 1, like as a player, Silver Crucible gets better. So for bad players that are making a lot of mistakes in Act 1, Silver Crucible is actually pretty good, I think. Because it gives you a lot of like front-loaded power that you can use to like save a bunch of HP to not instantly die, which a lot of people just instantly die or bleed out too much so they can't take elites. And it does help you in that context. But if you're playing Act 1 properly, like using the potions in the correct situation, and also your character is better at Act 1, like say you're playing Necrobinder in the Underdogs, you're pretty freaking good at Act 1, then Silver Crucible just drops off a cliff. Like it gets so much worse. If you're playing Regent, you're pretty bad at hallway fights, early hallway fights. So Silver Crucible goes up. Like that's kind of how you can think about it, is like the better your character is at hallway fights in Act 1, the better you're playing Act 1, the worse Crucible gets.
How often do you think you pick Patter on floor 1 as Regent? Maybe this is not super related, but I think it's looping back to that. Like, how much are you trying to shore up that problem? Because I'm not sure how often I do want to click
never
it.
picked it.
I think I'll pick it. Yeah, like every time, probably.
Every time.
Like,
Okay.
like my first goal on Regent. It depends on like what whale bonus I have, obviously, and like what my path is. But my first goal on Regent is to like get good at hallway fights, which is why Crucible is pretty solid, and Patter makes me better at hallway fights. So it's that simple.
I think I'm pretty sad to pick Patter if I see it.
I mean, I am sad.
If it's against Skip,
I really want to
use
put
this
a card in my
it's a
deck on
block card.
Regent to like make myself better at hallway fights immediately. It's not my first pick. Like obviously, if I see Bulwark, I'm popping off. But you know,
I do agree. Like I want a block card in my deck immediately, so
Yeah.
I just pick it. But it's like at the bottom.
People's feelings about Venerate are mostly because they feel like they draw it and they don't block, but it's so much is fixed by like adding one block card. Every time I walk into a hallway and I have like anything that says block on it, I just immediately stop taking chip damage. It feels like.
yeah, it's a very easy problem to fix, like the Venerate problem.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of people are really bad at Regent, so they do not understand like how the deck is shuffling, and they don't understand like what it's actually doing in the deck. So they don't build the deck to fix the problem that Venerate's causing. They just see that they're losing HP and kind of react to that. That's where most of the Venerate is bad comes from.
Do we think Regent's the hardest character as a whole?
For
So it's
new
the hardest, like as a
players,
brand new
yeah.
player.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So I still remember the first time I played this
Most
game. Like
mechanically
I felt like
complicated, at least.
Regent was like unplayable. Like the sword is useless. I can't use any stars. But it's just because I'm microing everything wrong. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, a card is in my hand. I got to play that. And then next turn I draw like Reflect Natural Pass. I got 1 star. I'm like, how did this happen? Did I make
People
a
waste
mistake?
stars a lot.
Yeah.
Very
biggest
easy to
thing.
build like a very bad deck on Regent. If you're like star economy and star usage is like out of balance. Very often you draw like 3-star cards in your hand and you can play none of them, then your turn is like horrendous.
I think Regent might be the most punishing for bad deck building. Other characters.
No, I think it's
I
Clad.
don't.
I think
Because
Clad is the
Regent
worst.
feels like if you build a bad deck, it just feels like you always draw badly. Like I drew all
no,
my
because
star
like Regent, I
cost
can
plus
pull
four
myself
star
out of a
gem.
bad situation way easier than Clad. Like my deck's bad with Regent. I had like 2 Spectrum shifts. Boom, my deck like kind of does something. You know, Clad, you build a bad deck, like, you just die. Like you just die. Like there's
Yeah,
just no
I
there's
do
no
agree with
recovering. You know? It's
Regent's
over
got too many
for you.
cards that are like your deck sucks, but this one card will solve your problems immediately.
Yeah.
I guess Clad doesn't
Yeah.
have
Yeah,
that.
like you add a charge and then you just kind of like win. You know? you just deal a billion damage and all your bad cards become good cards. You know?
Clad does feel like it really needs to, over the course of time, build into something rather than just like a 1-card solve. I can't really think of anything. Maybe like Dominate is like the one thing I think can like bail you out of nothing and your deck is trash and I see a Dominate and I win. Feels like you need a couple pieces to come together, but I also think maybe I'm like worse at Clad than the other characters as well.
It's
Clad
very
just, like,
easy to find damage though. You just randomly have anything, then Act 3 it's like already dead. You have like a random Ashen Strike that hits for like 80.
I think people over respect Clad's late game in this game, right?
Yeah.
Clad's very, very strong at late game. It's easy to scale into that if you play your cards right. So that they respect early game too much, and then like they could disrespect late game more and put more respect into early game and just like kind of add damage cards when they need them.
Oh, the Spectrum Shift comment earlier also got me circling back to people being averse to card generation, because I've seen a lot of people calling like Called Void bad, and that's like a crazy card in my head. Spectrum Shift also. Card generation
card.
solves so much. Like, I think the main
Card
counterpoint
generation-
is that card generation floods your deck with crap, right? And then you have to like redraw it. But I don't think it ever really feels bad to me.
I feel like the average card is just good. If I have like an okay deck, it's just gonna be better than card draw because you have the opportunity to high roll and you like solve the combat immediately.
Yeah.
Pretty much every deck you want to build, it has like a bunch of powers, right? So after your first deck cycle, your powers are in play, and then you redraw the garbage, but your powers are in play, so everything blocks, everything does damage.
Yep.
You're just chilling.
Inspire 1, what you wanted Hello World or Magnetism to do for you was give you more options to like buffer out your bad deck. Like I just want one more card in my hand to spend my energy on, like one more option every single turn. And if I play my cards right, that one option will win me the game. This game is different though, because like card gen just wins you the game. instead of it just giving you more options, it just gives you really strong cards. Like Call of the Void just blows my mind every time it's in my deck. Like just every turn, it's just like wow. Like, and when it's bad, it's not even bad because it just exhausts, and I just spend my energy on other things. The card is just insane, and also has synergy with the ethereal stuff, and like the card is just everything. The Spectrum Shift, like I've used that multiple times to make Nostalgia, which is the power that puts a card on top of your deck, and the Gambit, and then I just play the Gambit every turn, and it goes on top of my. And I have solved multiple fights, multiple times, just doing like it just gives me a win condition if I wait enough turns, which is ridiculous. Like that didn't really happen in Spire 1 as much. Like you didn't just get a win condition magically out of your card generation like as consistently as you do in this game. So I think the harder the game gets, the better card generation will get, because card generation is really good in this game, and that's with the game being kind of easy, and like you don't need to build a really good deck. I'll get into like how dice rolls work in this game, but like the more dice you need to roll, the better card gen gets, which is related to how much variance and how difficult the game is. With how difficult the game is right now, card gen being this good is crazy. Like that means card gen is broken. That means card gen is real good in this game right now.
You did say, I think, that card gen is often better than card draw, and that does bridge us to always having draw cards is good too, which I think is not true. Drawing when your deck is only starter cards just doesn't result in anything. As your deck gets better and better, that card draw value goes up. But oftentimes if you pick some speculative draw card inside of Act 1 and it's just a curse, and Act 1 punishes you for it, it starts this whole downward snowball where now your run is really bad. So like the random skims or whatever that you can like pick inside of Act 1 feel kind of punishing to me. I think if you can greet it, you should, but it really should be a consideration of can you greet it and not just I see the draw 3 card and I add it. I think you die less for like adding Acro in this game than you did in Spire 1. In Spire 1, adding Acro like actually kills you. In this game, it feels like it's not going to kill you, but it might cost you an elite or something.
Draw is broken in this game. Like whoever had this bad take or whatever, like they're just truing. Like draw is so stupid in this game. Like you just add like every acrobatics you see, it's just good. Prepared, oh, it's just good. Like nothing punishes you for it.
That is silent exclusively, I think, for that example.
The only way you get punished for card draw in this game is if you lack energy. Which like some characters just don't have a problem. Like Clad, you just add every bloodletting to your deck, so you want every card draw card in your deck. Like you want every Burning Pact, every Pommel Strike, like Dark Embrace. You just like want your card draw because bloodletting is just half your deck. So because bloodletting's presence in Clad's card pool, draw is just very consistently good. I would say Regent, it's more complicated. Like Regent has more energy issues than the other characters, so draw can be a little bit more dicey. Like you don't want to add a random spoils of battle. Yeah. You don't want to add that card to your deck all the time. Like it's pretty bad, really. Like it'll just do nothing and draw 2 cards, and then like you don't have those 2 cards later, like because you're more energy limited on Regent. But draw is very, very good in this game because nothing punishes you for drawing cards. The Doormaker trying to do that, but that guy's gone, so nothing punishes you for it. So I mean, I guess Doormaker tries, but.
How do people feel about Skim, by the way? Because I actually just kind of never pick Skim almost on defect. My whole deck says Frost Focus, and I spend my whole turn's energy on said Frost Focus. So I just never spend energy on a draw card.
Overclock is
I actually
so
don't
much
draw
better.
defect.
How fast you get turbo? Like, Overclock is broken in this game.
Overclock is like the
I
most
click
bullish
turbo
ever.
for the
like
most part.
S tier card. But like if you have turbo, Skim is still pretty good. Like the lack of aggregate kind of hurts. Like you have super critical now, but like again, it's just an energy problem. If you have the energy, Skim is really solid. Like, card draw can be a pretty big problem on defect, but I'd rather just like have a machine learning Skim, because you're like allowed to take the time to put machine learning in play, while like a Skim is kind of slow. You just don't have the time to play the card.
There's less need for
you don't
like
have enough energy.
Burst draw to dig into your powers super fast now, I feel like. Because in Spire 1, you have the heart that just like hits you for your entire health bar on turn 2. And so if you miss your Echo Form turn 1, really terrible things can happen. But in this game, again, nothing really punishes you for playing fights a little bit slower, so it feels like you're more allowed to just sort of take your time getting set up, so Skim doesn't feel as good. That's more so what I meant. I think also like balancing energy gen with card draw is a thing. Like people often just add random like wisps into their deck and then it converts into literally nothing. It's just a brick. That seems to happen quite a bit. When I look at like other people's decks, they send me to like review or whatever, it seems like they just like add all the energy in the world or add all of the draw, and sometimes they don't have the other part of it. And so like you can speculate, I think, easier on like one of those things. Like I can speculate on a Skim or I can speculate a turbo, but you kind of want to find a matching half to round it out a little bit. Depends obviously on the character and what it is. Silent just cheats. I mean, Sly is really stupid, so we don't have to really talk
Silent
about
never
that.
has energy problems. The Sly stuff just solves energy for you because your draw always has payoff.
Yep.
I think the main
That's really
downside to draw in this game isn't really that draw is bad. It's more that like you just want to spend a lot of your turns playing powers. If your energy gets limited, then you miss a power and everything sucks. But you're kind of allowed to just sit there and play power because your relics do so much and the powers do so much to scale you to win the fights that you don't need to take the time to like play a draw card, play an energy card, then put powers in play. You can just put powers in play. It's okay that you didn't play a block card. Your relics are covering you. The enemies don't deal very much damage. You have weakness applied, so you're just kind of chilling. This is true on most characters, but not Clad. Like, Clad is different because Bloodletting, like, warps that character's entire card pool. That's where this is kind of true, that card draw is always good, is on Clad. Every other character, I would say it's not true.
What do you do when you don't find Bloodletting? I've had a couple runs like that, and they feel really awkward. Or I don't find any energy gen, and then that character feels really bad. I know Battle Trance exists, and that card's crazy. We can talk about that. It just gets in the deck, like, no matter what. But there's definitely some runs where I feel really energy limited on Clad sometimes.
I usually just try to, like, figure out a damage engine, like Tremble, Dominate, Fiendfire, just take the good cards and then like deal a lot of damage so I don't have to have the fight go on for a long time, because the fight goes on for a long time. I need Bloodletting. Like, it's just an accelerant, right? So like if you have other good cards, like that can also accelerate you, but Bloodletting is just the best accelerant in the game as it stands for Ironclad. Probably the best card in the character.
Common, by the way.
Yeah.
Common card. Actually, kind of similar to card draw. I feel like if you bring a card from your discard pile into your hand, the effect is extremely overrated.
Yes.
Especially Grey Blast.
A lot of people F tier Grave Blast.
Let's just go through everyone. Where do you put Grave Blast on a tier list? I'd say I put it in bottom tier, like the lowest, or close to the bottom, maybe one tier.
I had it in F, I think.
I made my Necro tier list yesterday, and I put Grave Blast in never picked. And a lot of people were very upset.
Unanimously
like,
terrible.
I can't spend
card.
one energy. I actually can't spend one energy to play 4 damage to bring a card back. That I'm trying to draw my powers, and what if I draw Grave Blast at my powers and I'm sad?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like the worst kind of card draw for Necrobinder, and Necrobinder maybe is the most present, like, I need to play my powers character. That's why Parse isn't very good. Like, card draw in general is like very mediocre on Necrobinder, and Grave Blast is the worst card draw ever, especially when Dredge exists on the character.
Yeah.
The main use of Grave Blast is to pull 0 cost things like Flatten, Poke, like the Osty attack stuff. Like, a lot of that is 0 cost, so pulling that back is really good. But pulling one of those back is just not high impact enough for 1 energy. Dredge is way better, so you just wait till you see Dredge. You never add Grave Blast.
I kind of hate Dredge. I never picked this card ever. I transferred into it one time. Like T2.
Dredge is really good in the Osty attacks deck, which isn't a deck you often play. But if you have that deck, like, that card is real good. Like, it is real good.
I can see it though. I guess it has to be 0 cost, because I transformed into Hang Dredge, and I was like, this is the time for Dredge to play.
Yeah, that's not actually very good. I had Hang, and I took Grave Blast on floor 1 once, and I was like really disappointed. But for Osty attack stuff, you're trying to align combos. Like, you want your Flatten to line up with your Poke, and then like that just guarantees it. Or you want your Rattle to line up with all your Osty attacks, and suddenly you pull back your Rattle with all the Osty attacks. Obviously, you don't play that deck very often, but when you do, Dredge is really good.
Yeah, I can see. It kind of feels like Cosmic Indifference on Regent. It's like, if your deck sucks, then I guess you have this card. I'd rather not have a sucking deck anyway.
I mean, honestly, every time I've had the Osty attacks decks, I take no damage the whole run. But every Necrobinder card is good. Like, bad cards except Grave Blast.
Isn't that every Necro run? I take no damage in the whole run.
Yeah, Grave Blast is just terrible. No matter what deck you're playing, that card does not want to get in.
When you get the event inside of Act 2 that lets you pick from a character's card pool and add like 3 card rewards, and you see, let's say, Necrobinder, Silent, Clad, what do you pick?
Who am I playing?
It depends.
Footwork.
Just on average. Let's not think too hard about
Silent
it.
the most, but honestly, those 3 characters are the characters I pick the most. Necrobinder, Clad, and Silent. I don't really pick Regent and Defect. All 3 of those are pretty good options depending on the context, like what my deck looks like and what character I'm playing. The other 2 are
we
pretty
had
bad.
Ramazuma for this.
Yeah, I do
I don't
too.
really like
That
picking
he
Regent
picks-
cards.
Zeknos said he
Yeah,
picks
Ramazuma would be
time.
so useful in this game. Playing Spire 2 has made me realize how good Ramazuma is for learning the game.
I picked Clad one time, just because Zeknos said always pick Clad. And I just picked like random big attacks, and it just somehow worked. I just bonk. Like, what? How's it work?
Necrobinder can kind of accomplish this similar. Like, you pick some very dense cards, and they kind of just push you through the act. Clyde can do that too, but Silent, just like, if you need card draw and consistency, that's the character to click on. Like, you're going to see your acrobatics, your prepared, your tools of the trade, well-laid plans, adrenaline, like those types of cards. Like, you just see that kind of thing way more often. So if that's what you're looking for, Silent's the pick. But if you're looking for like big high impact stuff, Necrobinder and Clad are the pick, I think.
I have to try on Necro more, because I have not picked a Necro card yet from that.
Necro
event.
I picked
pretty good,
Necro
honestly.
from that
When I
a
click the
lot.
Necro, I'm pretty impressed with how she feels.
I'll probably try it out more, because I look at the card pool, I'm like, half the pool says Osty. I'm like, damn, I don't have Osty. I'm on Necrobinder. I'm sad.
Yeah.
I just don't
If I had
pick
to
it.
rank them, I'd probably put Silent on top and then Clad and then Necro. Then the other 2 are pretty far below.
Yeah, the other ones are too synergy.
Yeah, all 3 of
reliant,
those can be
feels
pickable.
like.
Silent has weakness too. You get Sucker
Yeah.
Punch on Clad, you're like laughing your way to the bank.
You get like a leg sweep.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Blade of Ink.
Holy
That
crap,
card is
that thing.
not okay, by the way.
That card is not
Card is
okay.
messed up.
There's also Piercing Whale. I had a defect
Oh,
one
yeah,
where I
Piercing
got Piercing
Whale,
Whale
lol.
from the silent event, and I was like, oh my god, I'm getting hit. And I started spamming cool headers, and like, where's Piercing Whale? And then I drew it, and I took 0 damage. Like, sweet. Piercing Whale. Drew a silent card. We're chilling now.
As far as like the Austie builds and some of these like things that we would consider less pickable packages on the characters, like I do think a lot of times you get into them from transforms, right? And transforms I think are something that newer players underrate a lot. I've seen a lot of people saying that they don't think they're that strong or are scared to take them, but I don't think I've had a transform 2 from Niao that's like killed me yet, and I click it every time I see it.
I mean, Transform 2 is the best Neon in the game by
Yeah.
like a decent amount right now.
The thing with
Transforms are
transform
so
is like,
fun.
if you transform into like quote unquote bricks, usually they're going to like open up some synergies. You transform like a power or like some skill that doesn't do anything on floor 1, that allows you to have a wider pool of cards to draft from, so you can pick out the synergy cards since you already have the pieces in your deck. I mean, very often they're just good, way better than their specs and defense. But even if you brick, it's like not even really bricking.
The card pool in the game is like, this card would be good if I had this other card.
Yeah.
And then the other card's like, this card would be good if I had that other card, but you can't pick either because they're not good. And then you transform into one of them, like, oh sweet, now I can pick all these cards and everything's good.
Exactly. You can get into synergy spaces. Even the mediocre to bad synergy packages like Aussie attacks, like those aren't the best synergies on the character. Like Slide of Flesh stuff is the best damage synergy on the character for sure. But if you transform into like Rattle or something, and then you pick Poke, and then you pick Flat, and then you pick Dredge, your deck's really good. You aren't playing a bad deck. I mean, you got into that synergy package because you transformed into it. It's kind of complicated because newer players are they're obviously going to be worse at playing a wider variety of decks, and they don't really know how to play with other types of synergies, so they transform into them and then make a bunch of mistakes and lose. At the same time, I think transforms are really valuable for learning the game because like you'll end up in a bunch of different synergy spaces naturally because you transform into them. I'd recommend for newer players, not just for people who are trying to win every run, but for newer players who are trying to learn the games. Like you'll just see way more of the game. You'll play with cards that you didn't think were very good and see what they can do in more situations because you just have them in your deck from transforms. I actually use this to learn the game. Like when I'm first playing Spire 2, I took every transform I possibly could because I just wanted to see as much of the card pool as possible. Very useful to transform, not just because it's strong.
I'm seeing the word transform. I'm like, I have not actually played with all the cards enough. The game's too new, so I just click transform. Like, well, this card sucks, but I can try it out. And then oftentimes I'm like, it's actually not that bad. But I'm not going to.
It'll teach you when a card that you thought was bad can play, and like, oh, it's really good in this fight. You know, I didn't really realize that, and that's very valuable. Like, the more of that you have in your head, the better you'll get at the game.
I've seen a lot of people comparing transforms to scroll packs, and I think we should talk a little bit about why that's completely different. Transforms, even if you roll,
because you lose all your gold, and that's ass.
That too, but
losing all your gold.
Do not be poor.
Transforms.
Do not be poor. Do not lose 99 gold.
Also remove cards. So even if you're ending up with bricks, you can just pretend that that card was going to be a strike anyways. Like if you draw it, you're not really losing much, right? But like scroll packs, you have to add all of the cards and you still have all your base cards. And those cards, they're not oftentimes very good. Like you don't want all of them. Maybe you want 1 or 2 of the ones in the pack or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels extremely different to me. I don't know if anyone feels differently.
I've been tricked by this scroll pack propaganda.
It's
I think the biggest thing.
This is why you lost, Opum.
True.
It's Jason.
It's like, do not pick. And then I looked at it. I looked at the map. I'm like, this is the worst map of all time. But I have 100 fires, no shop. And then now it's like 150 gold, max HP or scroll pack. Like, I can't pick scroll pack. and then I didn't pick scroll pack and I freaking died. But if I pick the scroll pack, I just upgrade the scroll pack cards. Doesn't matter what cards they are. They're going to be good. They're upgraded. Then I win easily.
Most of the cards in the game are good, so you often are getting pretty decent cards. But obviously, it's nowhere even close to transforms. One, because the downside is bigger than losing max HP. Losing 100 gold is a huge problem. Like early shops are really good, and shops in general are really good for surviving Act 1. And losing that value is a huge problem compared to losing max HP, which is like no downside on most of the characters. You just want to upgrade every fire anyway. Like it's often upside because like it just convinces you to not rest, and you upgrade, which is what you should be doing in this game anyway.
I heard from a top player that if I'm playing Regent, I must rest every time I find a lead. I need to rest 1 time.
Who said that?
Remember
Who said that?
Day 1
said
Regent? That was so funny.
Who said that?
To be fair, I think everyone was kind of just, I mean, obviously everyone's bad on day 1, but it was so scary. Like all the other characters are just farming Act 1. You play Regent, you're like, everyone hurts.
Merle on day 2 say he upgraded every fire in Regent. Like
the prophet
was a goat.
The prophet. We can have him on.
Moro still has decisions like in A tier, so he's my goal. I'm a decisions believer.
I don't like
I love
decisions that
decisions.
much.
Garbage.
I think it's okay. I'm like, I think it's mid, and like some people think it's just the worst thing ever, and some people think it's the best thing ever, and I'm just like, it's just okay.
It's right here for me. It's so mid. It's just okay. We can talk
If I
about you
have the
pick it to
stars,
open
sure.
shrimp, right? Like
Holy, the shrimp open.
Pretty
the
much
sh-
shrimp, yeah.
the shrimp
That's a good combo.
opening.
Does that have lower odds of
But it's
showing
also
up?
just
By
gonna
the
be
way?
like a
'Cause that
good
thing
card
does
in your
not
deck if you have
appear.
Sealed Throne, right?
Yeah.
Is it actually good to Seal Throne? Seal Throne costs
Probably.
3 stars. Then I play 3 cards to get 3 stars. Then I play 3 more cards. And then I finally have enough of decisions.
I don't know.
Do
I
you
play
think-
Sealed Throne, and then I like play 2 cards, and I look at my star count, and it says 50, and I'm like, what?
Yeah,
You
pretty
just
much.
blink and it's over.
it's 50 stars just out of nowhere.
The ancients in this game are just crazy.
Not
There's
even
so
watching.
much that just immediately wins the run on the spot. It feels like you can be in
Besides,
such a bad
besides
spot. Next
one.
Well, I don't even know. I honestly, maybe hot take. I feel like Tez has bricked less for me than Tanks recently. But
Okay, tanks is
That's a
actually
hot take.
tanks
What is he
is
talking
okay.
about?
Okay.
tank has the block 7 thing.
What,
dude.
what
That's
ancient relics do you think are bad on tanks? I need a list.
okay, we
Yeah,
don't
I
have
also
we
need
don't have to
to
go on
what
that
is Brett
today
talking
because
about?
Name is gonna rip me a new
like
one.
all broken. What are you talking about?
Where's
I
like
actually can't think of one
the
except for
ethereal copy,
Every single one's
right?
broken.
Music box is
Music
broken.
That's
The
also
ethereal
non-tanks,
copy of an
that's dark
attack,
vision.
I feel like, is kind of situational, and sometimes it's not very good at all.
Isn't that
Oh, you mean crossbow? You're talking about crossbow.
No. Crossbow
That's not an
is
ethereal copy. of an
crossbow's
attack, that's just-
actually good.
Music box is on.
Oh, maybe I'm
the
misremembering
demon.
names
Vaku?
then. Yeah,
Yeah, Music
Vaku.
Box
That's
is
what
on
I'm.
Vaku,
Okay, I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about Vaku. Okay, sorry. Vaku
Okay,
is.
that makes
Okay,
sense.
Vaku kind of breaks, yeah.
Vaku
So
feels like
rare,
it's
though.
bricking more than Tez. Maybe I'm more okay with a lot of the Tez bonuses now that the game's changed a bit. Like I'm not really doing infinite stuff, and then like the 4 removes for like a soot is just like good now. When I was doing clad looping stuff, it was really bad, and then now it's just like broken every run. Like I pick it on Necro, and then I never take damage. Like I have no
I think
strikes.
this
really
bricking thing might be an expectations thing because when I play a Runner Slaves Fight 2, the moment I walk to Act 3, I expect the Ancient Boon to be like, you win. But sometimes it doesn't say that. But it's like,
Yeah,
wait, why I don't win
I
immediately?
think you're exactly right. Like people see Vaku, and sometimes Vaku doesn't instantly win you the run. So you're like, what? How could this happen? Like that's your brick because
That's
usually you
dumb.
walk into Act 3 and you just get the most broken thing ever. And sometimes Vaku's like, you don't just win. You get something pretty strong, but you don't just win, and that like throws people through a loop. You know, they're just like, what?
I like
think
his
that's
design.
actually it.
I like his design a lot. I do think that like we need more ancient bonuses that are just like not universally good. I want to like look at a screen and be like, oh god, I gotta go take a break and think about this. Like I had that so much in Spire 1. Like you get Philostone, Sozu, Ecto at the end of Act 1, and then you're like, okay, which garbage do I click? You know, because you have to. But it feels like that never happens in this game. There's never like I have to pick the garbage.
Just
Skip
in
button.
general, there needs to be more contextually good stuff, and not like it's just good. Like you draw 9 cards your first deck cycle, you get $1,000. And we're talking about now, like, oh my god,
That is
that
insane.
ancient is an abomination.
Yeah.
So disgusting. It's like your whole deck screen. You take no damage now.
Simon
which-
Diadem, man. Oh my god.
That
Simon
relic
Diadem, what
is
are they doing?
that's
relic
gotta
is
get
not
deleted.
okay.
What are they cooking?
Do you-
Like,
Do you think they could make
What
it
if I
say
just take
one
half
card?
damage?
Do you think one card would be balanced? I'm not even sure it would be.
I think it would still be pretty good.
Yeah,
That'd
that's
be
what
pretty good.
I think
2
I'm
cards
still
is a lot
clicking.
better. It's a
Yeah.
huge difference.
it's a huge difference, but the turns that you
It's
just
like
I think
one
one
break,
turn
card
is
you
you play a
might
power.
think about like other options.
yeah,
You
it would be a
take,
lot
like,
worse if it was one
it'd be a lot
card. Like,
worse.
I don't think it needs to exist. It's kind of cringe. Just in concept, it's not a very interesting
I
option.
agree.
Play less cards, take less damage. Like,
Also
You can warp
apparitions.
Deck building a little bit.
Oh my! I refuse to click apparitions. Just like the most. cringe
yeah,
thing
I'm
ever.
not clicking those anymore. I'm done.
It's strong though. It's like one of the strongest things. So if
Yeah.
you're new, you click it every time.
Yes.
Is
Bridges
Axe
us.
the best ancient? What is the best one?
Brightest Flame?
It's kind of hard.
Oh, you mean Act 3
Right,
only?
this flame?
It's probably Brightest Flame, yeah.
Brightest
Oh,
Flame's pretty
probably
crazy.
Act 3 only, because Brightest Flame's a bit too disgusting.
Yeah, best ancients amid. But
True.
Oh, okay.
Oh, ignore it.
sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, yeah.
it's very obviously pyramid. But
Pyramid.
I just ignore mid. It's fake.
I kind of just pretend that ancient doesn't exist though. You know.
Yeah, in my head it's not real because it's just like that's the old game. You don't
Pandora's
have to think
box is
about that.
probably the second strongest. I don't know.
Yeah,
People
Maybe
with
it's-
Dove. That guy's fake. That guy's fake.
That guy's fake.
Okay,
Okay, here's a hot take. I don't know how hot it
Hot
is. I
take.
wish they just removed Darv completely.
I agree.
I agree.
Okay.
Maybe it's
Kinda
not that
like having
hot.
the old energy relics back. Just remove Pyramid, then I'm happy. Keep the P-box. I love
Real.
P-box. Transform.
Yeah,
Remove
keep
pyramid,
on.
replace it with Sacred Bark. Replace it with
Sure.
Sacred Bark.
Yeah.
Well, Sacred Bar is very fun with some of the.
Bro,
portions
Sacred
that
Bark
do.
front.
Yeah,
Sacred
that would
Bark
be
is
Bark.
very
That's
crazy.
fun though.
I'm down for Sacred Bark. It's like pretty
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
but like, I'm okay with that compared to Pyramid. Pyramid's boring.
Yeah, Pyramid's boring.
I think as you get better, the number of boss relics that are just good go up as you get used to playing with them. Because I do think you have to warp your deck building quite a bit and like play differently. Some of them are just universally good, but if you know, like, okay, now I have pyramid, suddenly your deck building evaluations change a lot. And I do think I've seen like people saying pyramid's not good. That was something we heard in Spire 1 too. That's obviously like just not correct from everything we know about the game and all the top players agreeing that it's just universally the most broken thing ever. It maybe isn't necessarily the most easy thing to use as a new player, but once you understand some of the core concepts behind it, it just gets so insanely good. So I do think if you're seeing tier lists or people talk about the game and they just say this thing is broken or whatever, and you don't feel the same, you might just need to try it more. That's my like biggest advice, I think.
Speaking about the ancient
try
things,
everything.
how do
Don't be too
people
picky.
feel about
Just try all
mittens?
this stuff.
The exhaust your top card and gain a strength from Tez? Because I thought that was unpickable, but then I watched someone play with it and I was like,
It's a
I can
lot
see
of
a
power.
world.
Like it's basically brimstone. Like it's a huge amount of risk for a huge amount of reward. Like one strike per turn is a lot, but it's bad. It's
I
really
can see a
bad.
world like on silent. I didn't see the real silent card somehow, and I just added every attack, and now I just hit and then rest. I need to
You
try it
can
out,
do
though.
that.
It's
Nothing in the
probably
game beats you if you can just outpace it like to that extent. And mittens can bring you to the point where you just outpace fights like really quickly. You just say, I'm going to kill everything by turn 3 and take like 15 chip every few floors and I'm gonna win.
I can see on
It does kinda
Clad,
work.
it can be actually good. I think the other characters I'm like almost never clicking it.
Clad bricks less on Tez than the other characters because the strike one is much better on Clad because your strikes can be actually pretty good cards and the mittens are a lot better on Clad.
I've still never clicked either. I just haven't seen the situation, but I acknowledge it's.
Well, you haven't
probably
clicked the
horrible.
suit?
I haven't
Yeah,
had
the
a
suit's
chance
actually
where
pretty solid.
it's been useful at all. I feel like I always see it next to something really crazy.
It's useful when you
Turns
pick
all
the
your
draw cards
strikes
in
into
Act 1,
angers.
like Pommel Strike and Burning Pack, which I hope you were clicking, and then you see the suit,
Yeah.
and you're like, I'm gonna play them pommels, I'm gonna play my strength and bone. Well, I'm strikes, they're dead, enemy's dead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's
pretty
pretty
good
cool.
actually. When you have that like the generic good Clad deck you're building, the soup is actually pretty good because you have all your strikes usually. Sometimes you even an extra one from like capsule or something, and then you have like a bunch of burning packs and pommel strikes, and suddenly your damage just spikes.
Some people
That's
might be
strength or whatever.
confused by this discussion if they watched early Clad tier lists. What we were doing then is just going infinite every run, and then so many things like completely flip. People's opinions change all the time, but also the game is getting patched. And so it's going to be more important to develop your ability to reason through why stuff is good rather than just knowing certain stuff is good. So that when the game changes and like the door is put in V2, I will say door V2. Now it doesn't really matter, but when that first got added, that warped the game a lot. The way you have to build decks and their whole macro ideas, and then certain ancient boons or certain cards or whatever gets so much better or so much worse depending.
I've heard a lot of I lost the bad RNG thing. Like I played really well, but I drew badly in a couple fights. Now I've lost. What if your deck was actually not very good because the deck was not good? You drew badly, and there's also things like potions. Like you got to use potions correctly to cover for bad RNG. There's a pretty huge fight in the game, which is the frog parasite, right? That guy's like the epitome of RNG. You often feel like you fight that guy, oh, I drew only infections, and I got unlucky and died. But the big thing is like the second time it puts 3 infections in your deck, you have 6 infections now. That's a huge deal. The difference between 3 and 6 is so gigantic. Like 3, you can split it, and then you're kind of chilling. But you have 6, you just draw only infections. You're just getting destroyed all over the place. It's unfair. Saving a potion for frog parasite specifically is kind of huge.
Conserving resources, I think newer players are particularly not good at because you sort of need to address the problem before you even see it. You need to know my deck sucks at this fight or that this particular fight can kill me and then be able to address it. Part of that's also micro. Like Hunter Killer gets brought up a lot as a problem, and I don't think that fight is particularly super awful. It's not like the freest thing ever, but I think people are just playing the fights wrong. And without being able to see it, you never know, right? Especially
Hunter Killer is just a snake plant that doesn't attack you on turn 1. That's all that fight is.
So
It doesn't do anything.
it's really whatever, right? But like Frog Parasite, you may not even
Also doesn't frail,
understand the concept of like reshuffling or like shuffling before the extra infections are added into your deck so that you don't care anymore. Choosing when to draw or using a potion early or whatever can get you out of that spot.
The game gives you a lot of tools to potentially mitigate bad draws. You're not going to draw badly every single floor. Potion is like the biggest thing. So if you're drawing decently in most fights, you're not losing that much HP, and you run into a nasty fight and you're drawing poorly, you can bail out with potions. I think a lot of people who are saying they are losing to bad RNG, also they're building this deck that you have to line up this like 3-card combo. And if you cannot do that, you just take 50 damage. You can mitigate bad RNG with deck building. If you're building a deck that just has more tools to deal with all the different challenges in the Spire, if you can block very consistently, that's a big thing. You also feel the effect of bad RNG way less.
One huge thing with the micro, thinking ahead of turn, say, or on turn 6 or whatever, I drew only strikes and I'm sad now. Or maybe early in the fight, you play to defend and then your draw part had 5 strikes in it. You should have just hit the enemy and just killed the next turn instead of being all down got unlucky. That's pretty huge. Like thinking ahead in the fight. If the fight drags on for too long, you will draw badly eventually. It's just going to happen. That's how the game is.
Yeah. Looking at your draw power is like one of the easiest way to improve your in-fight micro. Just look at your draw power every turn.
The better you are at the game, the more you look at your draw pile. That's why Noobzor is the best. Okay, I mean, unrelated. To, like most people aren't going to know what I'm talking about, but Captain Noobzor is the best player of all time because he looks at his draw pile 50 times a turn.
Press A 50 times.
A. But go.
I remember something Zeknar said a long time ago that stuck with me was that if you feel like you're drawing badly all the time, it means your deck sucks. You're not unlucky, your deck just sucks. Like if your deck can never draw well, then it's on you. Until you actually know that you're drawing badly. But like 99.9% of people, the issue is not with your luck ever. I don't think you should ever blame luck if you are not already like one of the best players in the world. Just find other ways to mitigate the problem, right?
In my opinion, 100% of the time, if you lose to a bad RNG, it's just because you're bad. Like, especially in this game, it is not because of bad RNG. It's an easy pitfall to fall into, right? Because you draw into some bad hand, say against like the Soulfish or something. That's a very high RNG fight, right? You draw into a bad hand and then you die. And you're like, well, if I would have just drawn this other hand, I would have won the fight easily. So obviously RNG is the reason I lost. They can't really address the macro and micro decisions they made to get to that point in the first place. When you're playing bad in Spire, especially Spire 1, like it feels like you're low rolling constantly. Every floor, it feels like everything's going wrong because you're just not playing around any of the low rolls. And there's so many things that can happen. The better you get at the game, and the more difficult the game is, and the more decisions you have to make to get to that position where you're like mitigating RNG. It's a very complicated thing, but I would say 100% of the time you think you lost because of RNG, you did not lose because of RNG. Practically every run is winnable.
I actually think
Spire 1, maybe it was a bit more likely for you to lose because of bad luck, but even then, almost every time you die, it's like some very minor mistake all the way back in Act 1 that just snowballed you. Like, and the more RNG there is, fights like Time You to the Heart and Spire Elites, those fights were very RNG heavy, but they also added the most depth to the game. Your decisions from Act 1 helps you mitigate the low rolls that could happen that late into the run. Even though you felt like you lost because of bad luck, it's because you're just not the perfect player that you could be that would mitigate that low roll and make you win instead of losing. In my opinion, more RNG, more variance in a game like Spire adds more skill, depth, and expression to the game. Like the less RNG there is, the less skillful the game becomes. It's just so important to realize this because there's this design principle that I see in Spire 2 that I'm really upset by. I've been talking about it a lot on my stream. This idea that every hallway fight, every elite fight, every event needs to have smoothed out RNG. Like we need all the events to kind of give you roughly the same amount of value. All the hallway fights you need to lose roughly the same amount of HP. All the elites you need to lose roughly the same amount of HP. Like everything needs very smoothed out variance because high variance is bad. Like that's not what we want because people complain about it. But in reality, high variance increases the amount of skill expression that exists in the game. If you can click on a hallway fight and sometimes lose 0 HP, but other times 50 HP, that makes you have to play around more things and have more skill as a player to win every round. If like every hallway fight just you get chipped for 10 HP, that doesn't lead to skill expression. That just leads to a flowchart, and that flowchart just wins because you know that you will lose 10 HP on this floor, and that's not going to be enough to kill you. Like if you walk into an event node, the worst that can happen is you lose like a little bit of HP, maybe kind of whatever curse. But in Spire 1, it's like you can just die to Forgotten Altar, right? You just get a curse or you take a bunch of damage, and your Act 2 just derails, especially given how brutal Act 2 is in that game. The amount of low rolls that can happen and how consecutively they can happen increases skill expression in Spire 1. And this game has a lot of design that's like, we want to avoid that. I think that's really bad. That's the biggest thing I'm concerned about is that it does seem like they want to avoid high variance in the game. And that's just going to lead to like flowcharts being able to win the game every time.
I think
what I'm afraid of.
just in general, higher variance in a roguelike game is like what makes the game good. You don't want a roguelike game that every run is the same. I'm not saying that this is the case for Slay the Spire 2 necessarily, but compared to Slay the Spire 1, it does feel a little bit more flowcharty, as you have mentioned.
Yeah.
I agree.
They really try to smooth out the variance. Like they want you to lose a certain amount of HP in hard pulls. You just feel it when you play the hard pulls. Like these guys are trying to chip me for like 10, 15 HP at worst. You know, in Spire 1, sometimes you walk into a hard pull like Avocado Rat, and it's just like, oh, I can just lose 50. You know? That doesn't happen in this game. Like, you can walk into Spire 1 hallway fights with a good deck and just be forced to use potion, then your entire act falls apart, you know?
I do think this is like a criticism
RNG added to the depth so much.
Of game design, right? Like, before we move on to, like, talking about the patches and some of the changes that have been made over the course of, like, the last month, I do want to ask, like, what is everyone's favorite or the most well-designed fight in the game? I would be unsurprised if we had agreement without even talking about this beforehand.
Like in the game right now.
Yeah, like what do you think is like
Yeah.
the best design fight?
I need to look at
Insatiable
like
for me.
the.
The Act 2 boss that puts 6 statuses
Yep,
into your
that's what
deck.
I was gonna say
That-
too.
The
That fight
Insatiable, yeah.
demands that you micro well, and it also messed up your deck. So you got to make sure your deck is prepared
That's,
to
I would
deal
say my
with
top
6
three.
statuses.
If I had a top three, it'd be Insatiable, Phantom, and probably Frog Parasite. Be
Yeah.
like my top.
Those
three.
are my top.
Those
three
are
as
my
well,
top
I
3.
think.
I was gonna say Frog Parasite is maybe number
They're
2.
the guys
or
that are
1.
like, you got to lock in, bro. You got to lock in.
Yeah.
Like,
And
you
all
just
those
do
fights
whatever, you're gonna
have
die.
some variance in them. I mean, Phantom is very low variance, to be honest. There's a little bit of variance, but mostly Phantom is just like your deck building matters a lot. Really cleanly designed fight. The Doormaker
Inspire
V2 was
one.
my favorite fight. I
Yeah,
had to plan around
the
the guy
Inspire
from Act 1. That's my goat.
Inspire 1, when you start a run, you're immediately thinking about how do I build around beating this elite, right? And I think
Lobber.
Frog Parasite is literally the only elite. I see Overgrowth. Okay.
Yep.
How do I not die to the Frog Parasite immediately? And
Mm.
I want that feeling back in Spire 2.
That's all this game needs, really. It's just like elites and bosses that you feel like you have to play around in your deck building.
Yep.
As long as you have to play around the enemies, it's gonna be fun. But right now, you don't have to respect the majority of the enemies in the game. Like you can ignore their mechanics. Like
Yeah.
the Soulfish needs to do more damage. That's an example of a fight that has a lot of variance and a lot of stuff you would have to play around normally. But because it deals so little damage, like its big hit is 25. Like that's the maximum it can do. You just have to have a certain amount of HP and you kind of just win.
Yeah, too
I like
many
to have to respect
enemies.
the fights more.
Too many enemies in the game are just like stat check. You can like block 20, you're good. I want enemies that force you to build a different deck. Right now, you can like build the same deck every single run, and
Yeah.
usually you're able to win.
Slime Boss and Hexaghost and Spire 1, if you made mistakes like bad micro, bad macro into those fights, you could just die from full. Especially Hexaghost. Like that fight could just kill you. And this game needs more of that if you build the wrong deck. If you don't preserve your potions properly or use your resources in a bad way. That type of thing.
Door got reworked like 3-4 times.
Every
And it
patch
feels
they
like they
reworked it.
can't really land on what they want it to be doing. I know Nate feels very strongly about this boss. Does anyone else feel like they moved in the right direction in some ways and the wrong direction in others, or it just needs to be harder? Is that the general consensus?
All right, let me start. Let me try to be positive. The door right now, compared to the door on release, is better. What did the door even do on release? Just like
Nothing.
Nothing.
Just didn't
Right,
do
yeah.
anything.
He wasted your time. He ran
Yeah, he
away
wasted
and
my
wasted
time,
your
yeah.
time.
He had 2 health bars and he
It's
hit
like
you.
the thing with the door is like, I think the mechanics are generally cool. Like it has a bunch of different things. Like the idea that you have to solve these is really cool. But the fact that they made it weak is like, but what is it checking? If it's like, oh, you can't do X, but I'm not going to hit you, then what's it doing? It's got to be threatening, right? Just give it bigger numbers and then great boss, I think.
so the first
door-
iteration of the door, the one that ate your cards randomly, that also hit you for a very large number. So it actually presented a very real challenge at the end of the run, which is what like the Act 3 boss is supposed to be. I mean, some people will say like they don't like the mechanic, whatever, but the power level feels correct, right?
Yeah, I would agree. As someone who didn't like the
Second
mechanic.
iteration of the door, which is what we have now, kind of, it has like the exhaust your card mechanic and whatever. I think it's like kind of interesting, but it just doesn't do enough damage. I think door is like the easiest boss right now. And
A
they nerfed
fundamental
it.
thing with fights and Spire, which is like if they don't deal enough damage to like really push you, make you scared, then you don't have to respect their mechanics. So the door might have all these fancy, mechanics, but you don't actually care about any of them really. In a turn, you have to exhaust cards, for instance. The door isn't doing enough damage to pressure you to play your good cards and exhaust them. So you can just get rid of all your bad cards, and then your deck actually gets better, and the door helps you win the fight. If on that turn it deals so much damage that you have to play your good cards, then the fight changes a lot. Because then suddenly you're actually exhausting really good cards on that turn, and maybe you had to play around this, make a good deck, have a potion for the fight, instead of just ignoring the mechanic because it doesn't deal enough damage, which is the big
There was
problem with the door
one
right now.
thing in the patch notes when they reworked the door that kind of made me a little bit sad. It was like the door got nerfed because it was feeling too oppressive. I'm like, it's a boss. It should feel oppressive. You should walk into Act
Yeah.
3, you look at the door and go, that guy's going to blast my deck. I got to solve this issue. Right now, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's too
Like,
scary. Let's make it have
I've-
a cool mechanic and then do nothing. It's like,
I've
what?
talked to even like newer players who don't play as much, and I often hear like this idea, and this is pretty sad to hear, which is like I walk into Act 3 and I feel like I've kind of won the run already. The Act 3 bosses are what's supposed to be pushing you to make deck building decisions in Act 3. In the current state of the game, you just play through Act 3 and your deck kind of already beats the Act 3 bosses, so you don't have to make deck building decisions. You're just kind of playing auto battler at that point where you just play your same turns over and over again. This is a problem with hallway fight design as well. The hallway fights don't have a unique enough of mechanics to punish certain types of decks, so you just kind of do your thing. And then you get to the bosses and you just do your thing again, because good deck beats all the fights in Act 3. The game gets a lot simpler, and like the design space shrinks tremendously as soon as you enter Act 3, partly because you get like a huge amount of power from the Act 3 boss reward, but also just because the fights themselves in Act 3 don't actually challenge variety of decks.
I will say on
I
release.
kind of like
think
the
that-
globe head guy in Act 3. the frail and power is doing damage. If your deck's just below the curve, it actually kind of destroys you. I kind of like that fight.
I don't mind that.
I would like it.
It's not
I
like
would like
that
it
hard.
if I dealt a little bit more damage, like maybe a frail and vuln.
Yeah, a little bit more.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
fight. I feel like I can disrespect its power mechanic pretty often. But I do like
Most
some
strong
aspects of it. Like I
mechanics.
like when I have frost relic, like the power one.
Permafrost?
Permafrost.
Permafrost, yeah. When I have
Permafrost, yeah.
permafrost in that fight, it's like giga dopamine. Like that is epic. Like when I play the
Yeah,
power
yeah,
and I
yeah.
take no damage, like that I love
Yeah,
that.
You block one
It's my
now,
favorite part of that fight.
actually, because it got buffed, which I guess we could talk about that too.
Yeah.
So even before the game came out, there was like an AMA or something that was like, is infinite easy to achieve? And they said no. And I think we all know now that that was completely just not true at all, because every
They
run
were
on
so
release
wrong.
was just completely infinite. And so at the very least, they did turn every run from being infinite to not that. But I do think we just arrived at a different, but also same kind of run most of the time, right? But like they got rid of Dirge, and that was doing a very similar thing where you could just like Dirge and loop that with like an energy gen card, and then you were just boom infinite, super easy. Clad Infinites got completely axed. They nerfed a lot of the Silent Sly stuff, but I think honestly the biggest thing was like Door V2. A small looping deck like that against Door V2 did not function. And so I don't even know if it's that they need to like kill all the infinite stuff in the game. They just need to make the enemies punish you. Like if your loop is just high output enough, you don't care if it's true infinite or not. If you just play Grand Finale 6 times a turn, the door or whoever it is gonna die. They could have addressed it in a different way, and I'm very curious to see going forward how it's gonna change. Then there's also a bunch of Regent changes, Stoke getting completely nuked off of that, the new Niaos, and I think there's room for like new potions, new Niaos, things like that. Removes getting more expensive. Like they really did try, I think, to stop the infinite style stuff from happening. Do you guys think they actually achieved that though?
My personal opinion was infinite was never the problem. It was the symptom, not the cause.
I agree.
Honestly, I want the game in a state where infinite is gonna be a viable strategy to pursue in like X% of runs. But on release, it was like 100%. You go infinite every single run,
Yeah.
which is obviously was horrible.
I mean, I've only went infinite against the Doormaker.
Yesterday.
Yeah,
Flash of
but-
Steel finesse infinite with Regent card generation. From like the power that generates cards, and I exhausted everything except for Flash of Steel and finesse, and then went infinite.
But as a true
Like the zero
strategy
energy
for like
game.
solving the game, has anyone used
Not a single
that?
time.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they have well and truly killed infinites with these patches. Like they're dead, and I'm fine with that because infinites are cringe. People go, "Oh, I want to like go infinite sometimes as a win condition." It's like, do you really like? Maybe as like my deck does that randomly against the Doormaker or something. That's my solution for this one fight. But solving the entire run with infinite is not fun. Like it just isn't, because you just play the same fight over and over against everything. Infinites need to be challenged in lots of different ways. I think the remove change was positive. I think the card reworks on Clad were positive. The Stoke change I think made it more fun to play with. I think the change to production was good. It exhausting is just better. Like it's just a more fun card to play with. The Dirge change was good, made the game more fun. Like generally speaking, with the card and relic changes they've made overall, I'm kind of positive on them. It's the enemy changes that they made that I'm more negative on. It's like nerfing enemies has been the thing I've not enjoyed as much. Making the Sly stuff worse and the infinites worse mostly made the game more fun to play.
What do you think about them using like win rates as a way to balance the game? Because personally, I don't really like it. I think if you're balancing around difficult to use cards, but they are strong in the hands of good players, and just making them too absurdly powerful to the fact that like people can use them when they're less experienced at the game, then you have problems. I know that they talked about like Acro as one of the main reasons for gutting it was like it's dominating win rates. But is that because it was really easy to build a deck where Acro was good, or it was really easy to pick it, or what? Because I think there's other things too. Like Zeknar, I think now says like Pillar Creation is like one of the best Regent cards. It's up there for me after playing it a little bit. I wouldn't say it is the best or anywhere close. I've seen your tier list.
It is the
Nate.
best one. This is the
Yeah.
best power.
So Ovum says that, right? Like,
my tier list again, it was like a flow chart.
yeah.
There's other flowcharts that exist. Like you need multiple tier lists for a Regent because you end up in so many different strategy
Yeah.
spaces. Like one tier list can't cover all the different ways you can play the character.
But
My tier list works for a certain strategy, but
we have arrived at that conclusion now after some of the changes. People are really slow to adapt to that. And this is the same way coming from League of Legends or whatever, that people were really slow to adjust to changes. Things would be broken for patches and patches and patches, and it would never get found. And so I don't think that they should really be balancing based on that data. I'm not sure if anyone feels completely differently about that.
I don't know how they
How
are
do they do it?
balancing. I think the acrobatics to uncommon was a good change.
I do agree.
But I don't know how exactly they're parsing data. They could be doing it in a bad way, but they could also be doing it in a really good way. I just don't know their process.
Yeah.
I can make assumptions, but I have no idea. I can just look at the changes themselves, and most of the card changes have been good, I think.
I agree.
Except for
Except
Blade
not
of
yet.
Ink. Blade of
Yeah,
Ink,
not
not
yet,
yet.
okay.
And all the freaking Regent changes. Like, what are they doing on Regent, man? Like,
The numbers are so big. Why are the numbers all just massive?
honestly, I do kind of like Refined Blade. It's kind of a fun card. It could be uncommon now. It's so good. That card is sick. I like energy next turn effects. They're kind of fun to play with. Pretty pickable now as bulwark numbers.
Honestly,
It's
the
really-
prepared on silent, that one patch where it got changed to like outmaneuver, I picked it
Oh,
a
yeah.
couple times.
I like that change.
It was
I think that
actually
was a great
kind of
change.
good. Maybe hot take.
That card was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Not nearly as good as prepared, but
Yeah.
it was pretty solid.
I like prepared. I think it's iconic for the silent, but I also think like outmaneuver on silent was a criminally underrated card in Spire 1. And like in this game,
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
better. And people immediately were like, no, this thing sucks. I do think there's room for that in Silence Kit for sure. That's not just the only way I make energy is Tactician. Like,
Tactician is so broken in this game. Okay, maybe it's a little worse with Acro being uncommon now.
Yeah.
A little less broken.
Tactician has a pretty funny combo with Touch of Insanity, and you can play Sly cards. So it's like you save the pot, you just chuck it on Tactician. Now you got an infinite production going.
Also, Tactician blocked with the helmet, bro.
True.
Yeah, the slide card's
Oh,
blocking with the
God.
intimidating helmet is so like it's disgusting. It's like, what am I
Yeah.
doing?
I think we all agree that Silent just needs
But
like
they-
really heavy-handed changes, right? Like that character's an
The-
abomination.
the Silent needs changes from like the enemy pool, her starter deck, her card pool. Everything is wrong. The other characters are closer to like a fun balance, but Silent is so far away from being interesting. I have not had a single interesting Silent run. Like that character is just a monster. Like there's just nothing engaging about the way she plays the game.
I don't know how you would deal with it, because with neutralize being 0 cost weakness, you can just pick any draw, even without the slide, just draw into a neutralize. No one else can do this.
It's a nightmare, really.
too
Like
crazy.
she just needs a lot of enemies that counter what she does. Like fundamentally, she still has the same starter deck that's bad at dealing damage. So she needs an act that punishes her for being bad at dealing damage, and she'll become way more interesting. Like Spire 1's Act 1 punished her for being bad at dealing damage. But the current state of Act 1, like she just does not get punished for that. So it's a pretty big problem.
The way we're talking about the game is probably a different experience than the way the vast majority of people watching this feel in terms of the game being quote unquote easy. I do want to clarify, like, if you're losing in this game, you're not stupid or something. The game is hard. If you are not super experienced inside Spire, which all of us have multi-thousands of hours in Spire 1, and so we have like a really unique experience with the game. I don't think this is the average experience, but I do think it's still good to talk about because as player experience grows, a lot of people reach the point that maybe we're at now. We're not as good as we're going to be at this game or anywhere close to it. If we play this exact patch for like 3 years, we will win so much more.
Won't be playing the game anymore.
Exactly. That's exactly what will happen.
Yeah, we're not even playing.
And that's, I think, the main thing I wanted to draw attention to with this discussion. The game does need to change
Yeah,
for
I
us to
think-
have longevity in the game and to continue playing it.
Some people who are losing a lot hear how easy the game is and they think it's condescending. Like they think they're hearing someone say, oh, you're bad, because I'm talking about my experience. But like my experience does not have to invalidate your experience. People go like, oh, they shouldn't bounce the game around you. But I'm like, yeah, they shouldn't bounce the game around you either. Like they should balance the game they want to make and what they think is good balance. Shouldn't be around any specific audience, I'm just going to share my experience, talk about how easy I feel the game is, because that's my perspective. Other people can share their perspective. If they're worse at the game, they can be like, oh, this is really frustrating. This card is not fun to use because it's bad. Like those are all valid things to say. In my opinion, the game is too easy, but I still believe that people find value in hearing that. I hear a lot of people say, oh, I agree with you, even when they're worse at the game. Like they say, oh, I do agree with the Act 3 thing. The game kind of funnels into like this really easy flowchart thing in Act 3, and that's not very interesting, even for people who lose a lot. Or like I won 10 runs in a row on A10 and I shouldn't be doing that. I'm really bad at this game. Like people who have that perspective and share that same perspective with me, even if they're not as good at the game. So I think it's okay to share that perspective. And it's not like we're not being condescending. We don't think you're bad at the game just because we think the game's easy. Like we don't think your perspective is invalid because we think the game's easy. Like, of course.
At the end of the day, I think we all
always
have
gonna be
the same goal. We just want this game to be good for everyone and have the audience.
Yeah, I
enjoy
just
it.
want this game to be good, and I'm going to be streaming it for years, and I just want to like that experience of streaming it to be enjoyable. I want there to be hype moments, complicated lines and decisions that I have to make, just like Spire 1. That's all I want.
At the start, I was struggling a lot. Instead of thinking, oh, I must be stupid, it's like, if it's so easy for them, I can surely figure this out, right? And then the journey of learning and improving, because I can see what I could be. Right now, I'm not there. And the journey of getting to that point, that's like super, super fun for me. That's why Spy is so fun, the improvement thing. People are upset if it's like, oh, I'm bad. Like, it's okay to be bad. The worse you are, the more you can improve. And improving is so fun.
Growth is the fun in these types of strategy games, because like that's what strategy games are. Like you have to make a strategy and then apply that strategy to win. Other people, I think, just have a different perspective than you, Opum. They're playing these games like a roguelike. They just want to like play fun runs and get dopamine and like have that power fantasy. And that's a valid thing to want from a game like this. And if that's what you want, then you might be annoyed hearing people say the game's too easy when you're losing and you're not having fun because the power fantasy isn't happening every time. You're not having your crazy combos happen all the time when you're just dying and you feel like it's too difficult. I think this is what the Ascension mode is supposed to address, but it doesn't do a very good job at that because it doesn't like categorize things properly. Like people feel like they should be increasing Ascension every time they play, even if they're looking for that power fantasy. I don't know if there's some kind of recategorization they could do for like difficulty modes to make people who are looking for that experience go to a lower difficulty setting. There's a lot of people playing the game right now that are looking for a different kind of experience, you know, and that's the people who are going to have a problem with what we're saying about the game being too easy, I think.
You can just go down in Ascension. Even I did that in Spire 1 at the very beginning. It's like, I just want to build X deck. I just went to Ascension 1. I just built X deck. Like, that felt great.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what you can do, but I don't think the game's UI and like the way it communicates difficulty to the player does a very good job of telling people that that's a thing they can do. It just looks like you're supposed to keep increasing your Ascension every time you win, and people get frustrated because that's like part of the experience is increasing your Ascension. I don't know what the fix is. I'm not a game designer, but I do see that as a problem.
They wanted to make a competitive mode, so that could solve that issue.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
Whatever it is.
Could work.
Yeah, the expectation for these roguelike games is that you're gonna make progress, and there's not that much like meta progression in this game, so increasing Ascension is like a normal thing. Even as like a casual player who just want to like play their super OP combo. I do like the way Hades is doing it. You can just select the heat when you start a run. So that feels less linear. You're not forced to like just go from Ascension 1 to Ascension 10. You can like select any combination of the modifiers you want.
I do want there to be a definitive, this is the hardest version of the game, and this is like the vision of the game designers for the hardest version. That's what I don't like about Hades is like, there's no vision of like the premium difficult experience. It's just kind of like customizable difficulty, and whoever can get the highest heat, like that's the world record instead. That's less interesting to me. Like I'd rather be like a designed experience around difficulty. Outside of that, I do agree with what you said, like being able to curate your experience and making that more communicated in the game design, because that's what Hades does. Is it communicates to the player, like you're supposed to adjust your difficulty. Like if you want to do crazy combos, you play on low heat, and that feels very communicated when I'm playing Hades. If I want to do something crazy, I just play on low heat to do that. And if I want a challenge, I play on really high heat. Spire, I don't think communicates that as well.
I'm sure the game will shake up a lot as patches happen. The fact that this beta branch patch is getting pushed like just now, we'll probably get a lot of feedback. They're going to hear a lot from people, and we'll see how it sort of lands with the community. I am very curious what changes they're going to make after this, because this is the first time they've
Delete
ever
not
pushed.
yet.
Yes, I agree with that. Please delete that card.
Please.
I remember asking for Stoke to be deleted, and they nuked it. So maybe they're listening to this, and they'll hear all of us say to delete the card and just get rid of it, because I think that has no space.
I was worried when I saw so many people like casuals saying Clad needs healing. It's like fundamental to Clad's design. You need healing. And then they added this card, and I'm like, oh, it's just like face palm.
Yeah.
That was very unfortunate for me as well.
It's just like, please get this out.
Wait,
of
I need
my
to
game.
rant about this. I need to rant about Not Yet. There's so many people who think Not Yet is not good because it's like it's a win more card. It doesn't block for enough. They just don't understand why healing is like so completely broken. I mean, the enemies, they don't hit you for that much. Very often you can easily stabilize the fight. You go to your hallway, you kill like 2 dudes. And there's like 1 dude left who deals like 5 damage. And you just sit there and you just heal. Wow.
Very engaging gameplay.
Very engaging gameplay. That
It's like
is so
what they said
small.
earlier, like about variance. Healing just ruins that. Like, oh, you got a bad fight. No worries. Just heal the next fight.
Yeah,
It's just like the ultimate way to smooth out variance is healing. Because like you have 1 bad fight and you lose like 50 HP, and it's like, oh, I'm dead. And then like you have 2 good fights in a row, full HP. It's like all that variance just did not matter. Like you just mitigated it completely.
I think that's a great stopping point for today. Very excited to continue doing this. Definitely make sure to leave comments below and let us know what you want us to talk about. We'll be able to make adjustments as needed.
Yeah. Subscribe to all these awesome people.
True.
All of them. Subscribe to
Do it
everybody.
All right.
Do it immediately.
Thank you guys for watching.
Right now.
Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.